for Christ, you understand, he had his liberty and his sight. So that is why last time I was here on this issue and Professor Wansoye was on the other side in Abuja or somewhere, I also made this point. The fight has to be scientific. Otherwise, we model things up, we hear news and the people have been caught. At the end of the day, it will not stop it because the small thief will be saying, if it is 10 years jail, that it will take me to make 1 billion. If I make it, after 10 years, I'm a billionaire. Rather than be on earth for 90 years, 10 naira, not in his pocket. No, so there must be a way of identifying those corruptogenics, those things that predispose people to corruption. When you look at the telephone environment, in the Nitel days, people would make calls for 100,000 naira and deny ever making the call. Because they would throw out, they say, I dreamt of you, the way you were walking, I didn't like it too. You just say, that party we went, talking inanities. But now, somebody will call you, I don't have credit too, so I will just tell you what I want to say. Come tomorrow, full stop. Because there is pay as you go. Okay. That is using technology to modulate behavior that could have conduced to corruption.
Okay, Mr. Osita, let me bring in Mr. Okechukwu. Mr. Okechukwu, do you agree that because our systems are so weak, it leaves plenty of room for corrupt practices? So if we're going to if we're going to really fight this fight in earnest, we need to take a closer look at our system and plug all those areas where people are able to maneuver.
Yes, I agree entirely with you, but I also want to take your permission for the interest of your viewers to correct some impressions made by my brother Chima. One, Mr. President that we know, any day he starts defending the indefensible, some of us, millions of his supporters will leave him, and I don't think he'll ever do so. That's why as far back as 2003, the war against corruption, in 2003 election, there was no issue of Boko Haram there. So but his first agenda was war against corruption. The same in 2007, the same in 2011, and in 2015 he came to power and even discovered that the scavengers have scavenged more than he ever envisaged. On the other hand, the British or other developed countries of the world, please, their history of their political economy is not on corruption. This is a country that came here, discovered tin in Jos, discovered agricultural propensity of the country, discovered coal in Enugu, built rail lines to connect on how to harvest all those products of Nigeria, and paid back. And 60 plus years, they have left. Today, we could not maintain the same rail line. And we got more money than all those years from 1914 to 1960 that the British was in charge of the country. And if somebody says that we're fantastically corrupt, and Chima is saying you are labeling, it's not branding. Please, let's be sure of that. On your second question, yes, what we set out to do in the APC, our manifesto first cardinal program was the war against corruption. The other one was critical infrastructure. And that is what Mr. President is capitalizing on. That if you have critical infrastructure, you liberate the people's innovation. You allow the people to expand their nexus. The average barber who is in a street corner, if there's electricity, he's going to do better. The lady who runs the restaurant, the other small-scale carpenter will do better if there is critical infrastructure. So yes, what the APC is geared to doing is collectively to mop up the money for the subsidy and invest in critical infrastructure to enable Nigerians to advance according to their talents, their own speed, and their will. That these have been hampered when a lot of the Nigerian youths are very idle, even after schooling. There's no propensity, no skills, and the provisions were not made with the unprecedented oil revenue we made in the past 16 years. And that we did not even finish projects. There's no one federal road project that I could remember that have been completed from the year 2000 to date. I've always mentioned Lagos to Benin. I've always mentioned Meduguri to Kano, Onitsha to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Port Harcourt, Benin to Lokoja. None have been completed. And we have remained on the roads. The only railway we are talking about is still the old gauge the British constructed almost 100 years ago. Why the British and others had moved into speed rail? With all the money we got, we could not even move into medium rail lines that could run 100 and something kilometers per hour. What we have, the last news we had in your television, was that when the rail had an accident in Jebba, that he spent 19 hours from Lagos to Jebba. So anybody that said that the corruption is not at the backdrop, the sins, what we are paying for today, is the sins committed by the corrupt officials.
Okay. Mr. Okechukwu,
Otherwise,
Mr. Okechukwu, if I may come in here.
Infrastructure, Mr. President, and the APCs.
Mr. Okechukwu, the question is,
we are looking to put in place, yes?
How do we fix our system so that we do not encourage corrupt practices in all levels of governance? How do we fix the system?
Can I butt in here? The system is better fixed, as I said. If you don't have critical infrastructure like power, you are going nowhere. If you don't have a multi-transport system, the same British used to use their own ship to come from Lagos to Lokoja. We cannot do so today. The same British, when they are in charge here, their even postal service was very efficiently done. So what we must come back to is to get the people to work. If you don't get people to work by provision of critical infrastructure, no matter the sermonizing, no matter the legal system you put in place, it will never have weight.
Okay.
The weight and what have been discovered is that there are 3 levels of development. One is that you must graduate from critical infrastructure to an industrial state. If you did not go from a critical infrastructure, you cannot become an industrial state.
All right.
All those captains of industry will be captains of industry without even factories.
Okay, 2. You said there were 3.
I'm pleading with the Nigerian people to understand what Mr. President is trying to do. Mr. President is trying to harness all the resources we have towards where to have a collective
Mr.
impact.
Okechukwu, I beg your pardon.
Instead of funneling the resources.
Mr. Okechukwu, I beg your pardon. We need to manage our time. So we'll be glad if you would just confine yourself to answering the questions that you're asked. Thank you very much. Mr. Kinele.
The question you asked, I'm saying is embedded.
Let us look at this issue of corruption holistically. It's about attitude. It's about character. It's about value system. Except the individual's character, the value system, the attitude is transformed. When he gets in there, they will continue, whether you put A there or B there or whatever it is, they will continue the same thing.
How do
we work that
at
attitude?
every level?
At every level.
Now,
even a school child will try to con you of some money.
Thank you, Alero. These things drill. It drills down from the top. And I'll tell you why it happens. The policeman takes
50 naira.
50 naira. The fellow who goes to manufacture products, he goes outside, he says put placebo in it. All of this, like he said, they are all corruption. But what has happened? You are in a place. Your brother who was a nobody yesterday now goes into government, and he now has a resource because that's where the money is. And he makes all of that. If you are not a disciplined person, you will look for other ways to also improve your standard of living. So there must be a teaching People must be brought to be taught. Some of this come out of ignorance. What I know of international bribery and whatever it is something I've studied over the years. And something